Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Child Care Tax Credit Roundtable. I'm Congressman McEachin, and I have the distinct honor of representing Virginia's 4th Congressional District. I'm so pleased to be here with my colleague and my friend, my mentor, and the Dean of the Virginia delegation, Bobby Scott from Virginia's 3rd Congressional District. Together, we are joined by several knowledgeable child care providers, IRS advocates, and parents for today's discussion. President Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan is historic legislation that's provided crucial life-saving resources to American workers and small businesses, our healthcare and hospital systems, state and local governments, and so much more. I was proud to work with my colleagues in Congress and the Biden-Harris administration to pass this comprehensive legislative package and deliver much-needed relief to American families. But more help is on the way. You know, COVID-19 has presented tremendous financial, economic, and public health challenges to American families. Among the many important provisions included in the American Rescue Plan is the Child Tax Credit, the largest tax credit for families with children ever. Starting this Thursday, July 15th, and the 15th of every month through the end of the year, nearly all working families throughout the United States will start receiving monthly child tax credit payments. Hardworking families are eligible for up to $3,600 per child under the age of 6 and $3,000 per child between the ages of 16 and 17. In Virginia's 4th Congressional District, that's more than 147,000 children who will gain from this expanded and improved tax credit. That's more than 88% of the children in my district. The average benefit per household will be $2,900. These funds will put more money in the pockets of parents to pay for childcare or put gas in the car so you can go out to work and to help their families' economies while building better lives for their families. Childhood poverty is a prevalent issue in the United States and has only been further exacerbated by the coronavirus pandemic. There are currently over 11 million children in the U.S. who are considered poor. Research suggests that this tax credit could lift more than half of those children out of poverty throughout the U.S. Children living under the poverty line are more likely to experience housing and food insecurity and poor educational and health outcomes. The child tax credit will provide much needed relief to hardworking families and those currently living in poverty. These impacts will be seen in Virginia's 4th. More than 9,600 children in our district will be lifted above the poverty line thanks to this tax credit. But this massive tax relief will help set children up for success and provide families with resources to support them and cover basic necessities of raising children like groceries, rent, and regular bills. But look, it's not just for the poor. It's for all hardworking families. It's also a middle-class benefit. So beginning again on the 15th of this month and every month thereafter till the end of the year, check your bank account. You should see a check. If it's direct deposit, you'll definitely see it on the 15th of the month. If you get your check in the mail, it'll be around the 15th of every month. If you filed tax returns for 2019 or 2020, or if you signed up for a stimulus check, a stimulus check from the IRS, you will get this tax relief automatically. Families in Virginia's 4th and throughout the Commonwealth and across the nation will benefit. I look forward to today's discussion on the child tax credit and hearing more from our incredible guest speakers and panelists. And with that, I yield to my neighbor and my friend, and again, the Dean of the delegation, Congressman Bobby Scott.
Well, thank you, Donald, for your very kind remarks, and thank you for all you've done to help children get this benefit. We worked hard to get the American Rescue Plan Act passed. It provided a lot of relief for state and local governments, particularly strong relief for education, and it distributed the money according to the Title I formula so that the areas that needed the most got the most. It saved a lot of people's pensions. It did a lot, but one of the most important things it did was to provide these additional tax credits, which we believe will end up cutting child poverty almost in half. There are nutrition benefits and everything else, but this tax cut for children, I think is the real star in the American Rescue Plan. One caveat, these benefits are temporary. We're in the process of making them permanent. We don't want them to expire. So millions of children across the country, tens of millions of children across the country will be benefiting from this child tax credit. Families will have this money on an ongoing basis, as Congressman McEachin explained. And so what we're going to do today is listen to experts explain exactly how to access the credit and the impact this credit's going to have. So our local expert on the child tax credit will be Charity Howell, who I'll call on to moderate the discussion. Charity?
Hi, Congressman. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Now we'll pass it over to our distinguished panelists that we have joining us this evening, Dr. Jennifer Parrish, Rosalind Cutchins, and Ms. Shaiki Franklin. Dr. Parrish, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
Sure. So as you said, I'm Jennifer Parrish. I'm the Executive Director of the Downtown Hampton Child Development Center. And we are actually a nonprofit center that serves children from 6 weeks through age 5, with the mission that we want to ensure that all of our children have a quality early childhood education, but also an affordable one. So we are the only center in the area that actually has a sliding scale. So for our families who are more challenged economically, they're able to send their children to us and pay less per week for the child care and education that their children provide. And also we are qualified to receive subsidies from the Virginia Department of Social Services, as well as from the military. So we also have families who are able to access those subsidies while attending our program. We are accredited by the National Association of the Education of Young Children, or NAEYC as we call it, and also have a rating of 4 from the Virginia Quality System. So we work hard to make sure that what we're doing is providing an excellent education for our children, while also providing them with a safe place that their parents feel comfortable sending them to. We are expanding and going to open a second center in Newport News, because we always have a waiting list and are looking forward to being able to fill some more classrooms with children. So I know that our families are going to take advantage of this new tax credit, and certainly for our families as they face the economic challenge of finding a place to put their children and have a high quality program, this is without a doubt going to help them do that more easily. So thank you, Congressman, for supporting and getting this passed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parrish, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Now we'll have Rosalind Cutchins introduce herself, Executive Director from the Children's Center. Rosalind?
Hi, thank you, and thanks for having us. I am the Executive Director of the Children's Center, and we are a nonprofit that serves Western Tidewater. So that includes Suffolk, Franklin, Isle of Wight, and Southampton. And for us, we have a combination of programs. We have 8 centers that are scattered across that geographic area. And we do a combination of early Head Start, and community child care. We are also a subsidy provider. And for our Head Start and early Head Start families, one of the things that we're really looking forward to is the potential for them to be able to tap into this for wraparound care when we are not up and operating during that time. So that is a huge benefit to them as well as to our parents. As all of you know, child care is an expensive option for families, and this is a tough one because all of your providers, I believe, really want to offer high quality care. High quality care costs money. And from that perspective, I think that we are all in this together to try to say we are going to have better outcomes when families have access to high quality care, and our employees have the benefit of being paid wages that they need to be paid themselves. So I believe that this is going to also help stabilize child care provision, because we all need this in order to help us keep working. Our mission as a nonprofit is to nurture and educate children and their families, and we believe this is a step towards that. We are also VQ rated, And again, I just want to mention that quality is worth what we invest in it, and also it is expensive. So a huge thank you to our congressman for working to bring this support into our communities. We believe it will be great for education. We believe it will also be good for health outcomes for our families. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ms. Cutchins, for those comments, and we really appreciate you joining us. Last but not least, we'll have Ms. Shaiki Franklin introduce herself and tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
Awesome. Good evening. First, again, just echo what Dr. Parrish and Ms. Cutchins said, and thanking Congressman McEachin and Congressman Scott for making these benefits available to our families. I have the pleasure of having two of our parents joining us tonight, so I want to thank them also for being here. But I am the Early Head Start and Head Start Director with Hampton Roads Community Action Program. We are a community action agency that has been in existence since 1965 and providing Head Start services throughout Hampton Roads. We currently serve the cities of Newport News, Hampton, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, and Norfolk, serving 0 to 5-year-olds, 1,262 children and families, and we're currently the largest early childhood or early Head Start and Head Start program in the state of Virginia. And so, you know, Head Start is a comprehensive early childhood program where we focus not only on quality early childhood education and school readiness, but we have a family engagement piece where we really work with our families through what we call a family partnership process and helping them to learn more about financial literacy, such as a child tax credit, home ownership, and et cetera. And so our family engagement is the signature piece of our program, which really helps our family move towards self-sufficiency. But we also provide health services as well as mental health services to our families and to our staff. We too participate in the Virginia Quality, and we're also members of the Virginia Head Start Association and the National Head Start Association as well. All of our centers are eligible to receive child care subsidy for families that may need wraparound services for before and after Head Start services.
Thanks so much, Ms. Franklin. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Shortly, in a moment, we'll begin our roundtable discussion with our providers that just introduced themselves, as well as our parents. But first, we'll have Kamina Harris, who's joining us from the IRS Taxpayer Advocate Service, to kind of just give us a quick rundown of the things that you need to know to make sure that you're registered and signed up to receive the child tax credit, and just some of those technical details. So I'll pass it over to Kamina to give her presentation.
Hello, good evening, everyone. As y'all know, the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, it made some important changes to the child tax credit for the 2021 tax year. It expanded the credits. So what does that mean? The credit amounts will actually increase for many taxpayers. It'll be $3,000 for qualifying children between the ages of 6 to 17 years old, or $3,600 for qualifying children age 5 and under. The credit for qualifying children is fully refundable, which means that taxpayers can benefit from the credit even if they don't have earned income or they don't owe any income taxes. The credit will include children who turn age 17 in 2021. So this is a change from previous when it was 16 and under. Taxpayers may receive part of their credit in 2021 before filing their 2021 tax return in 2022. There are certain eligibility rules to claim and receive the credit. So let's just discuss that just a little bit. Again, you have to have qualifying dependent. The advanced child tax credit payments, they will not affect any government benefits that you receive, nor are they taxable. Also, the advanced child tax payments will not be reduced. So that means that they will not be offset to any federal taxes from previous tax years, or any other federal or state debt that you may owe that the IRS would normally be obligated to collect on. However, if you wait and you claim that total amount of the credit on your 2021 tax return next year, or when you claim the difference, when you reconcile the credit next year, then those particular amounts can at that time be offset. So again, back to the qualifying, in general, a child qualifies for the child tax credit if they meet all of the following conditions. So pretty much the child is your son, daughter, stepchild, eligible foster child, brother, sister, stepbrother, stepsister, half-brother, half-sister, or any descendant of any of those people that I just named, as well as adopted children. Adopted children do qualify. The child is under the age of 18 at the end of 21. The child does not provide over half of his or her own support for 2021. The child lived with you for more than half of 2021. The child was claimed as a dependent on your tax return or will be claimed as a dependent on your tax return. So for any children that were born within 2021, then they can still qualify for the credit. The child does not file a joint return for the tax year, and the child was a U.S. citizen, U.S. national, or a U.S. resident alien. The child must have a Social Security number, and it says that's valid for employment. So even though they may not be old enough to work at the time, it still has to be one when they become of age. It's a valid Social Security number for employment. So what do you need to do to claim the credit? So if you filed a tax return for 2020 or 2019 and you claim the child tax credit on your tax return, then there's nothing you need to do. The IRS will automatically issue these advance payments based on the estimated child tax credit that you will be due in 2021. And they'll use this information from your 2020 tax return first. If that has not been filed, then they'll take the information from the 2019 return in order to make that determination. If you already filed for those prior years, you do not need to take any action unless you do not want to receive the advance payment. If you have not filed for 2019 or 2020, then in order to claim the credit, you will have to go on irs.gov, and they have what's called a non-filer tool. It's the same tool that was used for many to claim the economic stimulus payments if you don't normally file a tax return. And you will need to go on that site in order to complete that tool, so they will know that you do have qualifying dependents and you will still be able to claim this credit using that tool. The tool is available in English and Spanish. How will you receive your payments? If the IRS has received your banking information, meaning if you filed a previous tax return and you've already put in your banking information, if you use the non-filing tool to claim the economic stimulus and you reported your banking information, if you receive Social Security, Department of Veteran Affairs, or Railroad Retirement Benefits, if they have your bank account information, then this credit will go direct deposit. If they do not have any of that information, then it will go by mail. You do have the opportunity to go online and update your information if anything changed or if you're doing the non-filer tool for the first time, and you can provide your bank information, and this way you can still receive that information, that credit by direct deposit. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the people who may not want to receive the advance payments, because we're talking about the payments, but everyone may not want to receive these advance payments. And there's a few reasons why. Some people expect to owe more tax than they will get a refund for 2021. So they may not want to claim the credits up front because they rather wait till when they file their 2021 tax return to use that credit to offset the amount of tax that they owe. Or they may no longer qualify for the credit in 2021 due to the child's age, or because the total earned income is now too much. Also, if you have an existing written agreement with the child's other parent to not claim the credit in 2021, or if the child lived with the other parent for more than half the year. So those are some of the reasons why they may not claim it, or some people may just want to wait to claim the entire credit with their 2021 return because they're used to a certain amount of refund and they want to claim that credit. So those are all of some of the reasons why people may not want to receive the credit up front for these 6 months. So if that's the case, that is not something that will automatically happen. So you do have to opt out of that. If you choose to not receive the advance payments, you must unenroll by using the IRS's Child Tax Credit Update Portal. And you can find that also at www.irs.gov. Again, that's the Child Tax Credit Update Portal. To stop these advance payments, you must unenroll 3 days before the first Thursday of the next month by 11:59 Eastern. So just to give you an example, if for the payment that let's go August, since the payments for July, they've already been rolling out. So for August, if you decided you didn't want to receive that payment, then you would have to stop or unenroll 3 days before the first Thursday in August. So you would have, the deadline would be August 2nd. You would have to go onto that portal, unenroll, and let them know you do not want to receive it. So August 2nd would be 3 days before the first Thursday, which is the 5th, and you wouldn't get the payment that would be issued on August 13th. So if you opt to do that, please remember to go onto that portal. All of this information can be found on irs.gov. If you go into the irs.gov, as soon as you log on, there is a link that says get advanced child tax credit. All of this information is there. The chart that I'm telling you about unenrolling is there. So this way you can opt to unenroll for any of these. You do not have to opt to unenroll for all of them. You can get one and then opt out for the next one and then get the following one. It's totally up to you how many of these you choose to opt out of. Okay. If any of your information has changed since filing or since you filed your return or after July 1st, then you should notify the IRS of certain changes listed below. So if your mailing address changed, if your banking account information changed, if the number of qualifying children changed, including maybe there was a birth or maybe there was an adoption, if the marital status changed, or if your income changed. All of that information should be updated with the IRS. Yes, you can also update that information on the portal. The Child Tax Credit Update Portal, it will be available. Some parts of it is available now on irs.gov, but they're adding links every day to update that information. So you can go right onto the irs.gov website to update that information. So this way they'll have the most up-to-date information for you. A lot of people ask, how does this credit affect you? Everyone who receives advanced child tax credit payments must reconcile the amount of the advance payments against the amount of the total child tax credits they're eligible for. So what does that mean? For a child under age 6, you can receive up to a maximum of $1,800 in the child tax credit. The child tax credit has been increased to $3,000. So if you receive $1,800 in advance payments, when you file your 2021 tax return next year, then you would have to reconcile that $1,800 against the $3,000 that you're eligible for. So that means your credit that you would take on the 2021 return would actually only be $1,200. Again, if you opted out of any of those payments during the course of the next 6 months, then that amount will change. It's based on the amount that you actually received. Okay. So another question, some things people wondered about is, what if I need to repay an amount? If you qualify, they do have what's called a repayment protection plan. And pretty much is based on the income that's received. That is something that you may also qualify for, which means that if you receive this advance payment and then next year comes that now you no longer qualify and you may have to pay back, then you can be protected under that plan, which you wouldn't have to pay that information back. That information is also available at irs.gov, again under the Child Tax Credit website. And that is pretty much the best way. You can probably find most of this information because it does give up-to-date information as things change, as things update. It'll be on the irs.gov website. You can find out if you qualify. If you're eligible, they have a tool that you can go on and click and use that information. You can even find out the dollar amount you're entitled to. So all of that is available for under the Advanced Child Tax Credit option on irs.gov. Yes, if you are a non-filer, again, this is different. You do qualify, you can qualify, just go on the irs.gov website And again, you have a non-filing option that you can file to get these payments. The payments are going to be July 15th, August 13th, September 15th, October, November, and December 15th. So those are when all of those payments are scheduled to be issued for the advanced child tax credit.
Thanks so much, Kamina. We really appreciate you giving us kind of the, a lot of the rundown and the technical. I dropped the link to the irs.gov website that Kamina kept mentioning in the chat box as well as we'll be sharing this constantly on both the Congressman's websites. As Kamina mentioned, it'll be going out until the end of the year, so we'll constantly be sharing information with constituents. So now we're going to move into our roundtable portion of the event this evening, and we'll have our parents and child care providers kind of talk about, like Kamina touched on, and like some of our panelists already mentioned, some of the things that this child tax credit can do and what things this can do for families. So if we just have our parents, begin introducing yourself, if we could start with Carrington and tell us a little bit about your family, and then we'll, begin our roundtable.
All right, greetings, everyone. My name is Carrington Holly. I am a single mother of 4 children. 2 of my children have attended Head Start. And this child tax credit is right on time for me. Being a single parent, and I actually had severe eczema in my hands, and I had to quit my job. So I haven't really had any stable income. So again, this is just right on time, and I'm really just blessed to be able to receive it in such a chaotic time. So yeah, that's pretty much about, me and my 4 children, and we're just looking forward to take advantage of, this blessing.
Thanks for joining us this evening, Carrington. Janelle, do you mind introducing yourself and telling us a bit about your family?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Janelle Hazelton, and my children attend Downtown Hampton Child Development Center. I have a 5-year-old who you may hear in the background, and I also have a 4-year-old. We're a military family, so this tax credit is going to do like great things for us. I also am a financial counselor for sailors, Marines, and their families. And as someone who does that on a daily day-to-day basis, the impact that this will have on our military families is going to be astronomical. One of their biggest issues is food scarcity and issues. So this is going to help so many military children be able to live wonderful lives, including my own.
Thanks so much, Janelle. We really appreciate you joining us as well this evening. Now, if we really just want to kind of open it up and open to a discussion, we really would just love to hear kind of, and much of our panelists already touched on this, our childcare providers, what are some other things, we just heard hunger and food scarcity. What are some other things we think that this child tax credit would greatly impact and affect a lot of the children in both the 3rd and 4th Congressional District in Virginia? We know that, a lot of the times school and those things go well beyond just focusing on school. If you're hungry, if you don't have clean clothes, all of those things. So just want to have an open conversation with you all and the congressman about some of those other things that this child tax credit could affect.
Let me start with a question of what, you get the extra money. What will you spend the money on?
So one of the things that my family was looking, or what I think would be helpful is, my kids, like all little kids, are really like hands-on learners, and we have so many wonderful things in our area, like the Living Museum, the aquarium, all these great places that our children can go and learn things. And so having that extra income will give us as a family opportunities to help teach our children things outside of the classroom that are in our local communities.
And for me, again, just being a single parent, it's a little harder for me. And so I'm just thinking about back to school, making sure my kids have supplies, clothes, things like that to just give me that extra boost for the school year.
Let me ask a question to either the parents or the panelists. Part of what Congressman Scott and I are trying to do is to get the word out. Other than events like this where we have roundtables, do you all see opportunities that the congressman and I should be aware of to help get the word out? Because we want to make sure that every family that can possibly benefit from this indeed benefits. We want to make sure that everyone signs up. If they're not signed up, we don't want any of this money to go missing. So if you all have any ideas about other ways that we can get the word out, I've already thought about back to school events. Hopefully we've got some in my district that we'll be able to appear at, but any thoughts at all in that regard would be helpful to us.
Congressman McEachin, this is Shaiki Franklin with HR CAP. We are having our HR CAP agency has the 2-generation grant. And so we are having a community event on July 31st, where we're inviting Southeast Newport News residents to come out and learn more about the 2-generation approach, which has been very beneficial to our families. But that's also an opportunity for us to educate them about the child tax credit. We'll be doing some recruitment, sharing some other financial literacy out there as well. So I'm thinking that may be a good opportunity to talk about and share information about the child tax credit.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just want to jump in really quickly. I didn't have Kira White introduce herself. She's another parent with us. Kira, I'm so sorry. If you could introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your family, and we'll jump back in.
Good evening. My name is Kira White. I'm a parent at Hampton Roads Community Action Program, downtown Newport News. I also serve on our policy council board. And together we implement just the bylaws and things, and that's on our policy council board to make sure that families get the information and access to the resources that they need. My family, me and my husband have raised 6 children total, 2 of which are adopted, 4 of which are our very own. Of course, you can hear, it sounds like a lot, it's a big number, but we're very blessed to do so. For us, I want to go ahead and answer that question. I believe that was Congressman Bobby Scott answered, what will we be spending these funds on when we get them? For a household like mine, this is going to help us catch up on repossessions. It's going to help us catch up on a lot of bills. Not only that, with that pandemic that came in, so much was scattered with business, relationships and things. So much got scattered. It's going to really help bring things back in together to kind of get it back on track, and then give us a footstool to really start planning for the future. My kids weren't able to do any sports last year or this year because of COVID, and because of finances. My kids have not been able to do any of the, they do mentorships, they do sports, they do church events and things like that. We haven't had the money to do any of those extra things. That doesn't just benefit us, it also benefits the community and the people that they get to interact with. So I wanted to give a small answer to that question as well. And thank you all.
Thank you for being with us.
Absolutely. It sounds like here as well, what the work that you do on the policy board also kind of answered the congressman's question of, where we could also get some information out. Did you have more thoughts on maybe how we could work with your, the work that you do and kind of spread the awareness about this child tax credit?
Yes. Like Dr. Franklin said, we have an event coming up and it would be amazing. A lot of parents don't always want to come out to those. So as a parent who is in contact with a lot of parents who don't like to be in contact with those type of things, I would say flyers in our neighborhoods. A lot of parents that come to HR CAP, they're in some type of public housing or Section 8 or something. Let's get the flyers out to the rental offices so that they can be passing them out. Let's put it on the radio stations. There's a lot of parents that I know of that had no idea that they could even file because they felt like they were a non-filer or they didn't make enough or things of that nature. I know parents right now who this pandemic has really saved their life, because before then their electricity was being cut off. So not just to say it's just this pandemic that this is going to affect. Hopefully you guys really are working with Joe Biden to implement how we can continue this for next year and some of the years to come, because this is something that can be greatly beneficial if we really want to help with childhood poverty.
You know, that's a nice segue into the fact that this ends in December. If we want this to continue, we need to make sure that we contact our elected representatives and tell them that, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine are going to be fine on this. But to the extent that you all, especially you advocates who have friends in other areas, in other states, spread the word. Make sure that folks call in. And again, this isn't just about poor folks, this is about middle-class folks as well. So this is a comprehensive benefit that helps 2/3 of our economy, both the poor and the middle class. And that word needs to get out and the pressure needs to be applied so that next year when it's time to re-up it, we won't have any pushback, because not a single Republican, at least in the House, voted for this. It was all Democratic votes that got this through. And we don't want that. We want it to be bipartisan. We want it to be bipartisan because, so it'll last. And the way to make that happen is to make sure that the people of America weigh in.
Agreed.
And to kind of go off of what Ms. White said, like I said, I do financial counseling for military members, and the majority of them, when we add this into their budget for the previous or the upcoming 3 months, this is the only thing that's giving them a surplus budget. And this is going to change their lives in so many ways. And in so many ways, like, they feel like they fall into this like weird middle ground because they're not in their home states most of the time. And so they feel like they can't reach out to the people at home, and they feel like they are not really part of the community that they're in. So this has been great. And for me to be included in this has been wonderful, because it does make me feel like the community that I'm living in does care.
And to spin off Ms. Hazelton's points just for a moment, I think I heard today there was a survey that said that the average American family cannot handle an additional unexpected $400 bill. And so this is designed to help with that, just as she suggested. And it's our hope that we're successful again in signing people up and making sure that the money lands on the target.
Okay, just to add to the discussion about how to get the word out, I would suggest 2 churches because we tend to capture a lot of people even if you can get flyers into the churches, as well as some other agencies like in our area, Healthy Families, Infant Toddler Connection. Also because we can put things out on social media, and we do capture our parents through social media. So if you can get that out to organizations like those that you have on the call, we can push things out, and people tend to push on to the next person, to the next person. So hopefully those ideas would help.
Thank you.
I'd like to add into that. One of the things I think you might want to consider is looking at National Night Out, which is August the 3rd. That I know in Western Tidewater, several of our communities are planning events, and those are the kind of events where if you have something there, you may capture people that just kind of slip through or come up that you may not capture. I know Shaiki and our program, and I'll bet you Dr. Parrish is as well, we will be working with our families, and we will work to support them to help get the information out and to help them access that. That's part of what we do in supporting families. There are families out there that just kind of slip through the cracks because they don't have an advocacy organization working with them, etc. And I would also like to add on to Dr. Parrish's, I think the same thing for those of us who have community coalitions, such as either Smart Beginnings or wellness coalitions or anything along those lines. Those are great avenues to begin to push that word out, and that gets passed along.
And just one more, just because we have the capacity to really touch our families. One of the things that our family services staff have done is try to reach out to parents individually that may not have filed taxes, to make sure that they understand the process, understand how they may qualify, and really work with them in getting them registered, assisting them with registering online and getting connected. And again, just sharing that information with them. So that's kind of the efforts that we've been trying to do in-house since we learned about the child tax credit. Our financial literacy department did another roundtable discussion with Congressman Scott a few weeks ago. And just from that, our staff really learned a lot about the child tax credit and was able to really contact families and say, hey, you know, are you registered for this? Did you file taxes last year? If you didn't, you know, here's what you can do to still receive and benefit from this child tax credit. So we're really trying to be hands-on with our families too, and let them know that it's okay. Because sometimes when families not sure, you know, I know that we've heard a lot of working families that said, no, I think I'm gonna stop mine because, you know, they feel like it's a scam, or they feel like, you know, it's gonna have an adverse effect on them when they file their taxes. So we're really trying to be hands-on with our families and make sure that they really understand, and make sure if they have any questions, we can direct them to the right place as well. So, you know, just as the COVID vaccine, we want them to make informed decisions.
Thanks so much, Sharkey, for making that last final comment. I want to just chime in really quickly because we got one question from the chat that I want to make sure we ask Ms. Harris. And it says, Ms. Harris, what can you recommend now to someone who filed their 2019 and 2020 tax returns in February, but has not yet received their expected refund? And they are not sure that the IRS has their information to receive the advanced CTC starting this week.
Yes. Well, first I would recommend logging on to the irs.gov website and always use that Where's My Refund tool. That tool, they do update as they process returns, and it'll give you at least the status of where your return may be in processing. The IRS is still dealing with a backlog of return processing. So there are a number of returns that have not been processed for the 2019 and the 2020 tax year. So checking that tool kind of lets you see where your return may be in processing. Also checking the Advanced Child Tax Credit Eligibility tool. Again, that's the tool that helps estimate the amount of the credit that you may be entitled to based on the 2020 and or 2019 information. So by checking that, if it's giving you information, then even though you may not have received your refund for those years yet, you at least know they have your information on file and they were able to pull that information in order to estimate your credit. And then lastly, the Taxpayer Advocate service, our office, we can assist as of yet with standalone cases as far as the child tax credit. However, there are situations where we can help with the 2020 and or the 2019 returns that you may not have received as of yet. So for those situations, you can reach out to our offices, or you can even reach out to your congressman office, and then they would reach out to our office and we would see what we may be able to do to help with assisting getting those previous year tax returns processed for you.
Thanks so much, Kamina. I'll be sure to also drop the link to both Congressman McEachin and Congressman Scott's websites if you also want to, like Kamina mentioned, do the casework route. I just wanted to chime in and ask that one question since we received it. I just want to give all of our panelists an opportunity to give any closing final thoughts before I pass it over to both congressmen to give us some closing remarks before we end this evening.
Well, I just again want to thank you, Congressman McEachin and Congressman Scott, for what you've done, because as I think people can tell from what you've heard this evening, it's really going to make a difference for our families. And as Rosalind said too, will help our centers in a sense financially, because parents will be more financially stable as a result of it. So I would say for myself, and I suspect others, anything we can do to help get the word out, we'll certainly do that. But thank you, and hopefully we'll see it extended past the current date.
Yes, definitely echo what Dr. Parrish said. And I think, again, just from hearing the range of parents that we have on the panel tonight, from working parents to single parents, to parents on our policy council, it just really gave me chills just to hear what this means for not only our parents, but we have staff that will also benefit from this child tax credit. And so it's a win for so many people. And our goal is just to make sure that it has a lasting impact. And again, if there's anything that we can do to continue to advocate for this benefit for our families, I think, again, as Dr. Parrish said, we stand ready to help. And so again, thank you for the opportunity to share with you this evening.
And I'd like to third that. Thank you. Keep up the good work. We appreciate it.
Any of our parents, we really appreciate you all sharing with us this evening.
This is Kiera White again. I would like to say thank you very, very much. Backtracking what everyone else said, this is going to like, you guys have no idea. This is going to be a big, huge difference in our household. It's taking so much stress off of bills and how we're going to be allocating, just making sure stuff is getting paid and not turned off. Is this really making a huge difference? And we appreciate you guys' efforts to make sure, or to see to it that this is something that may be continued.
And I'm going to say something super similar. This is going to make the time that we have with my husband when he's here and he's not away so much more memorable for me and my children, because we'll have the funds to go out and do things to make those memories. So this is creating family time for our family and memories for my children. So thank you so much, because those are sometimes in short supply in this lifestyle.
Yeah, and I just say thank you as well. It's as stated earlier, it's a win for me, and I'm just fortunate to be able to receive it.
Well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you all sharing with us and joining us this evening. Now I'll pass it over to Congressman Scott and then Congressman McEachin to give us some closing remarks.
Well, thank you so much. Then thank you, Charity, for moderating. You did a great job, and thank our parents and our local experts for explaining the impact, how to get the child tax credit, the details about it, and the impact that it's going to have. This is, as we've heard, it's going to be money every month. It'll help with food, rent, and educational enrichment programs that otherwise could not be afforded. We've heard the impact it's going to have, but we've also heard that it's going to be temporary. So Donald and I have a lot of work to do to see if we can make this permanent, extend it well, and to make it permanent so that we don't have to worry about it because this is such a valuable program. And so I want to again thank all of our panelists for being with us today. And this is a very important program. It is designed to cut child poverty about in half in one swoop. I heard today that the biggest drop in child poverty in 1 year that anybody could remember in recorded history was about 12%. Child poverty was cut 12% in 1 year. We're going to do about 50% in 1 year, almost half in 1 year because of this. And so we want to take advantage of it. We want to make sure we make it permanent. And so with that, I'm going to yield the balance of the time to the distinguished gentleman from Richmond, Congressman Donald McEachin. Don, you're on mute.
Thank you, Congressman Scott, and I thank you for your leadership in this area and in so many areas in the House where you have really looked out for our constituents and Americans as a whole. Charity, as always, you've done an outstanding job putting this together and moderating it along with Bobby Scott's staff. To our panelists and our parents, thank you for your expertise. Thank you for sharing your stories and enriching this discussion. And to all of you all who had the time to join in and who may be watching this in the weeks and days to come, thank you for watching. Make sure that you take advantage of this benefit. Make sure that you reach out to others and tell them, because we want everyone who can qualify for this to qualify for it. We've done a lot of hard work in making this happen. This is historic. It's never happened before. Let's make it permanent. Thank you all. Have a great evening and God bless you.